Hey everyone, welcome back. Some of you will remember the last really big woodworking project I worked on, which was for the Rockler Woodworking Challenge back in December. That project was really fun and super challenging, and I also ended up with a ton of blocks of glued up plywood scrap that I just couldn't throw away. You all know I'm a big fan of reusing scrap, extra materials so that it doesn't go to waste, and I just couldn't bring myself to part with these blocks of glued up plywood because I knew eventually I would think of something to do with them. Anyways, I've been really inspired by all these ceramicists I've been seeing who are making these asymmetrical vases, and I thought that would look really nice with the patterning of the plywood, especially if I do some subtle power carving to it, similar to what I did with the coffee table. I sketched out some different shapes and experimented with how I wanted the vases to look. I also took a look at my plywood scrap to see what I had to work with. I had varying pieces in different sizes and shapes, and I decided I wanted to try a few different vase variations to see what worked best. I landed on a couple of different concepts and started sketching them out on 3 different pieces. I had one on the larger side that would be a bit more complex with a big opening in the center, and one in the middle that was a little simpler, and then a very small piece that would just be solid. I've actually been searching everywhere for a set of tires that will fit this model of Craftsman bandsaw, and I've been really struggling to find the correct fit and kind of gave up for a while, but I finally found the right set and they're scheduled to arrive tomorrow. If it arrives on time and everything goes to plan, then I'll start cutting out these pieces out on the bandsaw. If they don't end up coming tomorrow and are delayed for some reason, or if there's another issue, then I might just go ahead and start cutting these out with my hand saws, because honestly, when inspiration strikes to work on a project, I just want to get going. While I was waiting for that to arrive, I started brainstorming ways to cut out holes into all 3 pieces. Unfortunately, I don't have a drill press, so the next best thing is a spade bit attached to a drill. I chose a spade bit that was just wide enough that it would allow the glass vial to go into the vase, but small enough that the lip of the glass vial would catch on the top. This part was a bit tedious and I definitely had to take my time, but I was able to drill down holes into all 3 pieces for the glass vials. I also got out my chisels to help remove a couple of pieces that stuck out and weren't removed by the spade bit. Real quick, I want to talk about this video's sponsor, Agency by Curology. Agency provides personalized prescription skincare made for you by a dermatology provider to help you take care of your skin more efficiently and effectively. You start by filling out a very straightforward questionnaire and taking photos of the front and sides of your face. Then a dermatology provider will assess that information and make custom RX product recommendations for you. I've always felt overwhelmed figuring out which products will help different skin issues I have, including redness, acne scars, some breakouts, and dryness. And oftentimes I would just go to the store and pick up a cream with a bunch of promises on it and hope for the best. That is why Agency is such a great option, because instead of wading through the ocean of skincare options out there, you can get something that is customized to fit you and your skin needs. I've been very happy with the mix of personalized products that I've received as part of my package, and I already feel like I've seen some great improvement in my acne scars being a little fainter and less red. If you want to test out Agency's products before fully committing, they do offer a trial box completely free. And if you're interested in looking into Agency for yourself, you can go ahead and use the link in my description. Thanks again to Agency for sponsoring this video. Unfortunately, my new bandsaw tire did not arrive in time, so I went ahead with plan B, which was to use my jigsaw. I had a jigsaw blade that I thought would be long enough for the thickness of the plywood, but once installed, it was just shy of cutting all the way through. So instead, I had to move to plan C. I used the jigsaw to start my cuts and then continued my curved cuts using a coping saw. Boom! Not sure if you guys knew, but that is my first time using a coping saw, surprisingly. I'm sure I'm at least gonna get one comment that's like, yeah, we realized based on the stance. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a struggle, but it did get the job done. When it came to removing material from the center of the largest piece, I was a bit stumped. I didn't own any of the best tools for such a task, so I decided that my best move using the tools I do have would be to use the spade bit to drill down again and again, slightly overlapping the drill areas to bore out the center of the piece. Then I would use my chisels and a Dremel to clean it up. This wasn't the easiest or cleanest approach, but it did ultimately work. Okay, that took a little longer than I was hoping to get the center out of this piece, but I'm done and ready to move on to the power carving. I'm sure you can hear the rain going on outside. It's actually really stormy today. So I was hoping to do this power carving out on the driveway outside, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to do it in the garage. I think I'll crack the garage door just a little bit to let some airflow in and open up the other door on the other side. Luckily the pieces aren't that large, but power carving definitely produces quite a bit of dust, so I will be wearing my respirator. My favorite part about the power carving is the process goes really fast and it's very satisfying because you're removing a lot of material very quickly. But my least favorite part is that it also creates quite the mess. Once all of the power carving was done, it was time for sanding. I started sanding with a 40 grit disc because the power carving had left quite deep gouges in the side and I needed to smooth that out a little further. Then I would move on to 80, 150, and then finally 250 grit. I cleaned up the center of the largest piece a bit further, but it still needed some work, so I spent some good time with one of my finer, smaller chisels, taking off little slivers of wood before moving on to cleaning it up and smoothing it with the Dremel. Next, I used some plastic wood to fill up a couple of gaps and small holes in the plywood. I did my final pass of sanding and checked to see how all the glass vials fit within the pieces. Once the pieces were prepped, I finished them with 2 coats of some wipe-on polyurethane I like. The finish made the layers of plywood really pop. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how these all came together. I feel like with this one, the center got a little messy carving that out, and it definitely isn't as smooth and as perfect as I was hoping. So I think if I were to do a shape like this again, I'd probably take a different approach. Honestly, they weren't that hard to make. They didn't take a ton of time, and it's nice to be able to repurpose some scrap wood into something that I think is pretty cool. It definitely won't be everybody's style, but I'm definitely tempted to make a couple more of these and give them to family members and friends, because I do have a lot of plant people in my life who I know would love something like this that can be used as a little bud vase or as a propagator to propagate some plants. Anyways, thanks for following along, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.